So you've been learning a language for a while and you got this horrible feeling that you're not making progress anymore. Try as you might, there's a single thought you can't get out of your head. I feel stuck. If you're in this situation, you might be wondering how I can get unstuck and start making progress again. Lucky for you, I know just the solution. And even better, I've got a special surprise for you that will help you implement the solution into your language learning so you will never ever get stuck again. Just remember to stay tuned till the very end of this video. Hi, I'm Luca from Lampariello.com and I'm an Italian language coach who currently speaks 14 languages. And I help people learn languages better, faster, and in a smart way. So, as I was saying, there's one point in the language learning journey where even the most serious language learners get stuck. A place where, despite their best efforts, progress just doesn't seem to come as easily as it used to. This is a place most language learners call the Intermediate Plateau. We call it a plateau because it's one of the first places on your language learning journey where progress becomes virtually flat. It's not like the beginner stages where you're seemingly learning new things every time you sit down to learn, nor is it like the advanced stages where learning feels easy, like you're just filling in the gaps. If you're stuck at the intermediate plateau, learning feels difficult and slow. You're not seeing easy daily progress and you don't feel confident enough yet to go out and make friends, read books, or watch TV shows or movies comfortably. But let me quickly teach you something that most people do not know about the intermediate plateau. It has a lot to do with your language learning comfort zone. When you first started learning a language, everything was fresh and everything was new. Because you were learning basic words and phrases, everything felt risk-free and relatively easy. As time went on, everything that once felt new suddenly felt comfortable. You could understand a few things, say a few things, usually just enough to feel competent at the things you wanted to do. And because you felt competent, a certain range of learning activities became your comfort zone. This is probably where you are now. There's an expression that goes, what got you here won't get you there. In a language learning context, it means that to move beyond where you are now, you need to change how you do things. And to move beyond the intermediate plateau, you specifically need to change how you go about practicing your target language. You need to move beyond what I call simple practice to a more challenging type of practice called deliberate practice. Deliberate practice is a research-backed form of skill development that involves breaking down skills into their essential components, recognizing and addressing your weak points, and then rebuilding that skill anew, stronger than it was before. Language learning is, at its core, a set of skills. So if you can learn how to break down and rebuild your skills in this way, you can learn to stretch your capabilities beyond your comfort zone and finally get out of the intermediate plateau. Take, for example, my deliberate practice-based approach to improving my speaking skills. This is an activity I only engage in when I'm around the intermediate level, usually 3 to 6 months after I started learning a language. The first thing I do is find a reliable native speaker that I can regularly talk to. Most of the time I use a service like Italki to hire a tutor that I can speak to every week. Most people would stop here. They talk to the tutor a couple of times a week about anything and everything, maybe get some feedback, and then they probably never think about that session ever again. That's simple practice, which again won't get you where you want to go. To deliberately practice my speaking skills, I schedule regular 30-minute sessions with a tutor, usually once or twice a week. Prepare exactly what I want to talk about before every session, including coming up with a list of words or key phrases that I want to use. I direct the conversation towards the topic and ideas I prepared for. I ask for specific kinds of feedback tailored to the exact aspects of my speaking skills that I want to improve. I record the entire session, with permission of course, and save it for later reviews. In the days after the session, I re-listen to the conversation and note anything important I want to memorize or address in later tutoring sessions. As you can see, this process is much more involved than a typical tutoring session, but I've found that it is exactly what I and other learners need to push their speaking skills beyond the intermediate plateau and towards fluency. And although this is a process I designed just for speaking, the rules of deliberate practice can be applied to all of the other language skills as well, like listening, reading, writing, even grammar and pronunciation. If you want your language skills to survive beyond the plateau, this is the kind of action you need to be ready to take. You need to narrow your focus on specific skills, break them down, fix them, and build them back again. If you watch this far, you might be saying, but Luca, I'm a busy person. How can I do all that all by myself when I've never even reached fluency in a language before? Well, That's why I'm here. After spending over 30 years learning languages and more than 10 years coaching others to learn them, I've visited the Intermediate Plateau again and again. I've learned its ins and outs. I know where the pitfalls lie, and I've guided others safely past them. Simply put, as a speaker of 14 languages, I can show you the way beyond the Intermediate Plateau so that even if you've ever stuck there again, you'll know just how to get unstuck and find a way through. And now for the surprise I mentioned at the very beginning. As I said, I know just the right strategies to help you overcome the Intermediate Plateau for your current target language and any language you might learn in the future. And I want to teach them to you, not just one or two strategies, but all of them. And I plan to do that through my brand new 6-week webinar course titled Overcoming the Intermediate Plateau. This will be a 6-week webinar-based course where you will work directly with me, my team, and other like-minded language learners to help take your existing language skills and bring them beyond the dreaded Intermediate Plateau to the point where you can use your target language at a fluent conversational level. These are powerful methods that will challenge your skills and give you structure and direction at a time when language learning progress is slow and hardest to see. If you master these methods, you will have everything you need to finally become fluent, just like you've always dreamed of. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of my students have to say about the very same methods you will be learning in these webinars.
Hi, my name is Brian. I am not a polyglot. In fact, French is the first language that I've been tackling as an adult. And I'm probably about the A2, B1 level right now. I've been studying for about a year. And I want to tell you a little bit about my impressions of working with Luca. So before Luca, I spent probably the first 8 months of this year trying a variety of different methods. Some focused on speaking right away, more grammar study-based, others using prepared stories and dialogues, tons of different apps. But what I think Luca offers that's really separates himself from the pack is that he has a really sound understanding of language learning theory. And then on top of this theory, he's built really effective tools. So his language learning theory is distinct from some of these other approaches in that he understands that the research shows the best way to learn languages is more like how a child learns language, by exposure to comprehensible input in the target language. This tends to work a lot better than just learning a bunch of grammar rules or vocab lists and then trying to apply that knowledge. So that's first. But then using this theory, he's built a bunch of really effective practical tools that will help you know exactly what to do every day when you sit down to do your language work. Whether you're studying for 15 minutes a day or an hour a day or more. And they scale really nicely from the beginning stages all the way up to advanced stages. And also they really allow you to use all this amazing free content on the internet to center your language studies around. And plus they're just a ton of fun. My experience so far with Luca for the last several months has been amazing. My French has been getting better very quickly, and I've been having a lot of fun at it. So it's my opinion that if you've come across Luca's content, I think you should consider yourself really lucky and just go for it. Just go ahead and work with him. So I just want to say thanks to Luca for sharing all this wonderful knowledge with the rest of us.
Hi, my name is George Dick. A couple of weeks ago, I planted a couple of cherry trees in our yard and later was having a conversation with somebody about fruit trees in general. And he said, the best time to plant a fruit tree is 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. And that's really how I feel about working with Luca. I can't even imagine the kind of progress I would have made in my last 30 years of studying languages on and off if I had been working with Luca and his methodologies. I really started working with Luca as a coach about a year ago, I think, and the amount of progress I've been able to make in just a year compared to the amount of things that I did that weren't particularly effective over the previous years is just amazing. Whether it's starting a language from scratch or working up to something. I'm about to take the C1 exam in a few weeks for Spanish finally, and I think I'm going to pass. We'll see. But the strategies that he has for getting better at speaking, getting better at writing are just astounding. And whatever service that he puts together is just something I would jump at the opportunity to work with. I'm so glad that I found Luca when I did, and I hope that you take advantage of his methods sooner rather than later, because you just will be thrilled with the impact that he's able to have on your language learning adventures. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
These words fill me with joy. They're proof that when you're armed with the right mindset and the right tools, anything is possible. That's why I'm so excited to release this live course. I can finally share my intermediate level language learning techniques and strategies with many more people than I could ever do in a one-on-one coaching session. And if you think each of these webinars sounds exciting, wait until you hear about all the extras you will be receiving as well. Beyond the 6 2-hour webinars of the course, in fact, you will receive access to our 2 weekly 1-hour group calls with me to ask questions and share your progress, access to our learner community and circle so you can interact with dedicated learners just like you, weekly missions along with PDF guides that will teach you how to tailor the course techniques to specific languages, monthly Q&A sessions with me and my team, and so much more. Best of all, if you join the 6-week course, you'll automatically gain access to our video-based online version of the same course when we release it next year. So, what do you think? You now know everything you need to know about my brand new Overcoming the Intermediate Plateau live course. Are you finally ready to conquer the Intermediate Plateau and reach the fluency you have always wanted? There will be only 100 seats available for this webinar series, and they will be filled on a first-come, first-served basis without exception. So, if you're interested, please check and click the link on the description box below to learn more about how you can sign up. I cannot wait to see you in the course. Happy language learning, and talk to you soon.